Okay, for those who have known or have been following my Instagram, which you guys should totally do, by the way, you guys would know that I bought a new vehicle, and yeah, here it is. This is my new to me 2008 Toyota Sequoia Platinum, and when I bought it, it was the cheapest second gen Toyota Sequoia in the entire state of Florida. Now, I literally got this car for $6,000. Now, I know what people are asking. What is wrong with it? What's the issue with it? Because obviously it's the cheapest second gen Sequoia in the entire state. Well, it does have a very interesting and special quirk that I'll show you guys on the inside of the truck now. Yes, as you can see, the truck has 313,000 miles. Now, I know literally everyone, well, mostly everyone, is going to think I'm absolutely insane for buying a truck with, or buying anything with 300,000 miles. Because usually I don't keep my cars to high mileage. The highest mileage car I've had was my Audi S4, and I traded that in for the Supra at 69,000 miles. So this, being 313,000, should usually scare me a little bit, but there were a couple of things that made this purchase, I think, worth it to me. Now, the first thing was that it had a $5,000 transmission rebuild. It was a complete transmission rebuild, and the torque exchanger was rebuilt, and obviously, like a warranty and all that stuff comes with it. But this was at 285,000 miles. So literally, less than 40,000 miles ago, this truck's entire transmission was rebuilt for the price of $5,000. That's one of the reasons what made me feel super comfortable with buying this truck at such high mileage and at the specific price point that I did buy it at. Another thing was, before buying this truck, I actually did go into the local Toyota dealership to have this car inspected with the owner with me as well. And the first owner of this truck, well, the last owner of this truck, he was very knowledgeable about Toyotas and Lexus platforms, specifically their truck platforms. So he did all of his own maintenance and all that stuff. He only outsourced, I guess, the big things such as the transmission rebuild and stuff like that. Now, when I had it inspected, he was pretty confident that nothing was going to show up, and a couple things did show up that were kind of worrying me. Now, as you can see here, the front crank seal and oil filter, it had a slight leak around that area, around the oil filter area, and that's because the front crank seal was, I guess, broken or damaged. Now, a couple other things like battery tie down, filters, and differential needs servicing, which, is a once in every 100,000 mile service usually, or I believe so. Now, on the second page, as you can see, I paid $159 plus tax, so $200 ish, almost, for the service. This is just for the, I guess, labor, and then they have their own other fee on top of that too. As you can see here, total is around $193 for this pre-purchase inspection, and they gave me a whole list of essentially what was wrong with the car and what the car needed, and I went through with the owner, and he agreed to actually fix everything for me right in front of my eyes, and he bought all the parts as well, so I didn't have to pay for anything like that. And I believe the total amount of parts on parts that he spent was around $400, I believe, and that was in new spark plugs, the crank seal and the oil filter, and then also a new battery, and he also did the rear diff flush as well as the coolant flush and an oil change while he was at it too. So I believe all that was around $400 worth of things. So that was something that was really nice of him to do, and that kind of put me at ease when buying this truck. And yeah, right there and there we agreed for $6,000, and he did all the work for me and bought all the parts to fix it up into top-notch run condition for me to possibly tow this thing to the state of Texas. Now, the next thing is something I unfortunately can't really show you guys, but it is the service history of this actual truck. Now, the last owner before me, he bought it at around 200,000 miles, and he used it as primarily as a highway cruiser to take trips back and forth from Georgia and back and forth from California. And obviously, us being in Florida, that's a pretty far drive. It's across the country. And yeah, so most of this truck, he would say at least, about 70% of the miles that he put on his truck. So 70% of that 100,000 miles was mostly just highway miles, driving him and his family from here to Georgia or here to California. I believe they went to Georgia around 3 or 4 times, in California like twice in the his own, like ownership cycle of the truck. So that, you know, gives me a little bit of confidence that, you know, at least this thing can withstand a cross-country road trip. Now that you know why I bought the truck, time to show you guys some of the quirks and features that this truck has. And I promise you guys, they're very interesting. Being the Platinum model, it's the top of the line, so obviously you get powered seats, but they're also both heated and cooled and memory, which is insane. Now, another feature of the Platinum model is you have radar cruise control. In a 2008 car, or Toyota in general, that is insane. And it works pretty well. The truck in accessory mode, that's why all these lights are on, guys. I promise it's not a Christmas tree. But something that I think a lot of 4Runner owners will like a lot is down here you have this little button, and when you press it, the rear glass goes all the way down. And that is honestly super freaking cool. Obviously it has, you know, dual zone climate control. I showed you guys the heated and cooled seats right here. But something else that I was also very surprised to find on this truck was that we have a powered tailgate. So you hold this button down, it obviously, you know, opens and closes. That is pretty freaking cool. All right, the last interesting feature that I think this car has, at least up front here in the driver's seat, is we have headlight washers, and they work pretty freaking well. Now, moving on to the rear seat of the Sequoia, obviously most of the Platinum models come with a TV up here you can play DVDs on. The owner has the screen, he gave it to me, but I'm probably not going to connect it because, you know, I feel like there's no need to. And it's probably something that's just going to break. So I'm just going to end up probably reselling it because no one's really going to sit in the back seat anyways. But if they do sit in the back seat, they'll be very comfortable because the rear seats have their own climate control. And you can adjust these settings independent from the front. And you have heated rear seats, which is pretty freaking cool. And you have sunshades, which is also pretty freaking cool. And then into this actual storage thing, so much storage. So you have this, and then there is this under here, and then there's this under here as well. And you can flip this whole thing open, and there's more storage in here. Now, this may look kind of like a weird setup, but the reason that they have it flipped open like this is, I'll show you in a second. You can also flip these down to access the rear seats, and it's almost a flat surface if you flip the other one down as well. Now, that brings us to the rear seats. Now, obviously, you know, the rear seats, they look like, you know, whatever, normal seats. But the cool thing is they are powered. Now, let me get this out of the way so that I don't squish it and cause a slight explosion in the car. But yes, they are in fact powered rear seats. Why? I don't know, but they are. And obviously, once you have both of these seats flipped down as well, you can actually fit a pretty nicely sized bed in here. I believe you can fit a twin or a double twin size bed in just the back of the Sequoia with all the seats folded down, which is pretty freaking cool. Now, in the trunk, there's not a lot of cool stuff, but you know, you can fold it down with a click because it's also powered in the rear, which is pretty freaking cool, honestly. Yeah, obviously you have a wiper in the back, and this has the cleaning thing, so You can actually clean the glass inside the car. Same as like the front windshield, I guess. Yeah, super, super nice truck. Honestly, I just bought it just to tow the Supra across the country with. And yeah, I believe it would do that amazingly. Because it has a whole 7,100 pound towing capacity. I'm not sure if that focused, but that's an insane freaking number. Oh yeah, one thing I also forgot to mention. Power folded and heated mirrors. Yeah, I really don't know why we would need these, because this truck is, you know, it's big, but it's very car-like. Like, it's as wide as, I believe, a normal Toyota, like, Tundra. And most of those people have super huge mirrors. So I don't know why, but it's a neat feature to have. And it's pretty cool. Yeah, power folded mirrors. I think that might be... Honestly, I think that might be all of, like, the, I guess, special surprise things that I expected, or that I didn't expect when getting this truck. Obviously, you know, you have the auto windows and powered mirrors. Yeah, I saw that already. The driver save settings and stuff like that, which are pretty cool. But yeah, overall, I think this truck is a very, very good deal for $6,000, even at 313,000 miles. Like, that's honestly, you know, it's a Toyota. And like, it's a 5.7 V8. This engine has literally been around for so long now. They literally only just stopped making the 5.7 in like Tundras and Sequoias like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, when the new gen Sequoias came. That's kind of how you know that this thing's kind of been like tried and tested. And even though this is like kind of the first year, like first gen of the second gen, I guess you could say, before like the refresh, before the facelifts, and before they like refined everything, I am still a big proponent and believer in Toyota reliability. So let's just hope that this thing can keep going for another 300,000 miles, hopefully. But yeah, that is, I guess, all I wanted to show you guys on this new truck. There's a lot of like more little things. Oh yeah, there is one thing that I think is pretty freaking cool that the last owner actually did himself. The owner of this truck actually spent around $450 to equip this with a remote start. Now obviously, with the remote start also comes keyless entry, so I just press this to lock and unlock the truck as I go in or out of it whenever I need to. What I would like to do is maybe find a way to have a button on the driver's side door that I can just press to have it open. Maybe there's like an actual switch with the current gen Sequoias, or maybe there's an actual switch with the newer second gen Sequoias that have the keyless entry, I guess, because now that we have this, we don't really even need to use this key to unlock or lock the doors. All we need to do is just use the key to start the actual truck. So maybe there's something that we can do with that. A little bit of a quality of life thing, so you don't have to take the key out of your pocket, I guess. But yeah, I guess overall that is pretty much everything that I could think of that really surprised me about the truck. And a lot of like the quirks and features, I guess, of this truck. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, be kind to the world, and be good people. My name has been Ari. I will see you, beautiful people, later. Peace.